Okay, the first concept that we're going to talk is packaging and distribution. Packaging and distribution is a concept where if I've created an application or if I've created a few components in my Salesforce org, I can move those components to a different org. Okay, so it's like if I've created something on my org and I want to transfer it to you, then how do I do that? So that's the concept of packaging and distribution. So the concept is very simple. The process goes like this. Processes. Let's say you are on Salesforce org 1. Okay, you create an app. So when I'm saying create an app, it can be anything. It can be an app in Salesforce. It can be a few objects, a few fields, validation rules, workflows, a few triggers. Maybe a visual force page with a class, whatever, right? So you can create those things on org1, then go ahead and create a package in org1, add all the components that you want to move. Okay, so to that package you need to add all the components that needed to move, and then add all the components that you want to move, and then just go ahead and uh, upload the package. Okay, the moment you upload the package, you get an installation URL. You receive an installation URL. Okay, you can share this installation URL with someone who needs to install those components. Okay, so primarily what you have to do is you just need to now log in to org2 and install the components. That's what we need to do. Okay. Okay. So let me log in into it. Okay, so here we are. Now there are a lot of things that we have created. I have these apps, there are some pages, there are some classes, triggers, workflows. So whatever you have created in Salesforce, everything can act as a component which can be moved from one org to the other org, right? So we just need to go and create a package. So it's as simple as just going to the setup, create, and here you have an option of creating a package. Just go and say package, create packages. Now you can click on new package, call it anything, whatever you want. Okay, and save it. All that you have to do is you have to add components to this, right? Just go and say add, and you will be able to add the components. So component type, everything is component here. The reports, the validation rules, right? The workflow rules, workflow task, whatever you want to move from one org to the other org can be done, right? Let's say I would just want to move this project management app. I will add it to package. Okay. In this org, I have created a project management app. I want to move it to some other org. I've added this project management app. All the components which are under that project management app, all the objects, fields, they have also come along with it. You just have to go and upload it now. Okay. Once your components are added, if you want to add more components, just go and click on add. Once you are done with adding the components here, all that you have to do is you just go and click on upload. Okay, and then once you upload it, it will upload these components on a common drive or a common server space, and it will provide you with an installation URL, download URL. Okay, so let me just upload this. Okay, the moment you try to upload it, it will ask you whether you want a password for the people who want to download it. You can set a password for the people who want to download it. You can give it a version name. Let me call it June 2015. Okay, upload it. So it's getting uploaded. Yep, upload failed. Okay, so got uploaded, right? So all these things have got uploaded here, and along with that, you see, I receive an installation URL. Now, if I share this installation URL with you, you can just go and download all these components in your Salesforce org, right? So this is a very useful feature because if you, let's say if you have created something on your developer org, now you start working for a company and your client says that I exactly need what you have created. So all that you have to do is just create a package, upload it here, and use the installation URL to put it there, and transferring it from one org to the other org. Or if you're working for a a client and you're kind of designing a sample kind of a thing for the client. So while we design the sample, 20, 30-35% of the work is already done, right? Then the client says, okay, fine, it is approved. Now let's buy the Salesforce licenses. Okay. Now what we'll have to do is from your developer org, you'll have to move that entire thing to the client's actual org. Got it? So that's how it works. So this is a very useful feature. Clear on this? Please tell me if you have any questions or doubts
Hi,
here.
Jeet.
Hi.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, Jeet. Yeah, I have one doubt
Mhm.
here. Like, if you are saying that you have created one package, and this package we can import in our org. Hello,
Yep. Tell me.
hello.
Amish, go ahead.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Now I want to know one thing. Like in your org, when you were creating so many things, there were so many pages, so many classes.
Hmm.
Which classes and which pages will be selected in your this package, or all classes and all pages have been selected by automatically?
That depends on you, what you are selecting. So while I was adding components, if I go back to the package, in the components,
Mm-hmm.
you have the option of adding components. So what you want to add completely depends on you. Which all pages you want to select, go and select.
Okay, okay, here.
So you should
ठीक
decide what all you want to move there. Got it?
ठीक है, ठीक है, done.
And now,
Thank you.
yep. And now once the other person installs it on the on his or her org, Salesforce org, all these components will go and sit with other fellow components like the objects. If there are two objects that I've added, it will go and get listed on your org along with the other objects that you have created, custom objects. Pages will go into the Visual Force pages. The apps will go to the list of the apps. So it will automatically go and take their places.
Hey, Jeet, Rohit here. Is this is change sets, right?
No, this is not change set.
What can you go through the first step again?
Which first step? Creating the package.
Yeah, yeah. Can I just missed that? I'm sorry.
Go to setup, create packages.
Okay, okay. And then name the package and then add whatever components you want to.
Yep. Okay. Here,
Okay. And so how is it different from change sets, Jeet?
I'm going to talk about change set now, so you'll understand. So this is not change set
Okay.
for your understanding, and I'm going to talk about change set now. Okay, so package concept is clear. Don't get confused with change set. I'll talk about it. But package is clear. Why will we need package? The concept is very simple. There are certain components which are on one org. I need to transfer them to the other org. Create package. All right. Now, the other thing that we're going to talk is.
Uh,
Mhm.
Ajit, I have a small question.
Yep.
You mean like org? So is this a sandbox or a package or an instance or what do you mean by the org?
It can be anything. It can be a sandbox. It can be a production, a
Okay.
developer org, which are not connected. But so before we actually talk about, before we actually get into the question related to sandbox, let me just talk a little about sandbox. That's what I'm going to do now. And after that, I think most of the questions will be cleared on that. Okay. So the next thing that we're going to talk is sandbox. Now, someone please tell me what's a sandbox? Anyone?
Sandbox is, according to me, is kind of a testing area or UAT kind of thing.
Anyone else?
Hello.
Actually, it's an instance where we hello.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an instance where we do it for the prod and where we completely do it for the testing other type of processes, right?
But why would we do that? I mean, what is the use of that? How does that help?
So once we develop the project, we want to, right? So since once we complete the development partial work or something like that, so after later we have to move from one part to another. So for in such a case, we use the sandbox.
Okay, very good. So basically, let's say I am using an application or I'm using Salesforce. I think one of the microphones needs to be on mute. There is. Amish, can you please mute your microphone? There's a bit of noise which comes from that side.
Yeah.
Thank you, man. Thanks a lot. Okay, so think about it this way. If I am, my company is using Salesforce and there are 20 or 30 people working on it, and all of a sudden I create a workflow. Just take a simple example. I create a workflow, and that workflow starts triggering email. The moment I started it for testing my workflow, whether it's working or not. In the meanwhile, other people are also creating records across the organization, and the email starts going for everyone. So that's not a very good thing, right? So rather, what we would want is till the time the testing is not complete, till the time we have not approved, we have not deployed it, it does not affect any real-time data. We might want to do some sort of testing with some sample data, dummy data, that sort of thing. So that's the reason why we have sandbox and production, right? So Salesforce provides sandbox. Sandbox, as you guys already understand, that it's just one more environment where the testing and development can happen. Okay. So ideally, our development work should happen in three stages. Stage one, development. Stage two, testing. Stage three should be production. So all the development should happen here, then the testing should happen here, and then finally the deployment should happen on the production. Got it? Development, testing, deployment. That's it. Got it. So we do have Sandbox in Salesforce. So Sandbox allows you to actually have a replica of the actual environment so that you can actually create whatever you want to create, starting from a simple thing to the most complex logic that you are building up. Everything can be done on the Sandbox. Everything can be done on the Sandbox. And once your Sandbox is, once you have tested the things on the Sandbox, you can move it to the production. All right, that's what our Sandbox basically does. Got it? Now, how do we use Sandbox in Salesforce and how do we move things into the production thing? I'm going to talk about that. Though we do not have a Sandbox available with our developer edition, but I'm just going to tell you all the concepts around this so that you understand them clearly. All right. Uh, just give me 1 minute. Give me 1 minute. Huh? We do not have an option of creating a sandbox for the developer edition because that developer edition itself is meant for learning purpose, so they do not provide a sandbox with it. But I'm going to tell you a few things about the sandbox which are useful for you, which you need to understand, and rest you will be able to manage whenever you're working on sandbox. Okay, so first is uh, to log in into sandbox, you will just need to go and say test.salesforce.com. So this is the URL that you are going to use for logging into Sandbox. The URL that you are going to use while you're logging into Sandbox is test.salesforce.com. Okay. Now, your username is going to be whatever is your username dot sandbox name. It's like, for example, your username is abcd@gmail.com. Okay. And your sandbox name is sandbox name is, let's say, XYZ. Okay, so to log in into Sandbox, you should use the username as abcd at gmail.com dot xyz should be like this. abcd@gmail.com.xyz. This is what your username should be while you are trying to log in into Sandbox, right? So test.salesforce.com and username should be this. Okay. So that's how you basically log in into your Sandbox environment. All right. Now, how do you move things? So a sandbox looks pretty much similar to a production environment. All right, it looks exactly the same as your production environment looks. So the way your developer edition looks, same way your sandbox looks, and the same way your production environment also looks. I can actually log in into one of the sandboxes. I won't be able to do anything and show it to you, but I can just log in into one of the sandbox environment and I can show it how it looks. So you get some idea. Just give me a minute. So let's say you have a sandbox environment and you have a production. Okay, so the concept is pretty similar to what we were talking in the packages, packaging and distribution. Uh, Sandbox is a different environment. You create certain things, and once you have tested them, you try to move it to the production. The concept is same, right? But here we don't use the packages. We use another concept which is called a change set. Okay, so the process is you are on Sandbox. Okay, so in the sandbox, you create whatever you want to create, all those components, test them. Now, finally, once you have decided that these are the components I'm going to move, all that you have to do is create a change set. Okay, all that you have to do is create a change set. On the sandbox, we call it outbound change set because I'm going to send the change set from the I'm going to send the change set from the sandbox, right? So you go to create a outbound change set. It is at it's under setup, deploy, and then under setup deploy you have outbound changes. We don't have this in our developer edition, but this is what you will have to do. So you just need to go to setup, deploy, outbound change set, create a new outbound change set. Okay, and then the same way you have to upload add components, upload the change set. Now you will need to log in into log out of sandbox. Sandbox job is done. Log in into say production. Okay, on the production you just have to go to setup, deploy, and you have to say inbound change set. Okay, so in the inbound change set you will see that the one that you exported from here, the one that you uploaded here, is available here in the inbound change set. You can actually have a look, and then you can actually go ahead and deploy the you can validate the change set, and that those things will get installed in your production environment also. Correct. So pretty similar to the package and distribution thing, but the difference would be that in the package and distribution concept I am talking about two environments which are not connected at all. Okay, your org and my org, my developer org and your company's production org, something like that. In in sandbox and production, we're using the change set. Basically what I'm doing is I'm moving things from the one connected org to the another connected org. Here both the orgs are connected. The sandbox and production are connected orgs, right? It's just the back end of the production, right? So that's the difference. So depending on your requirement, you will see. So for sandbox to production deployment, you will require use the change set. For moving things from one org to the other org. Let's say you have created an app and you now want to give it to your client. You will need to do a package and distribution, right? But while you're working in a company and you're designing something on the sandbox, then you use a change set. Clear? Please tell me if you have any questions.
Jeet, I just want to know the difference of the package as well as the change set. So in what way they're connected? You told that they are not connected to each other, but so what is the purpose of the package if so the change set is being used?
No, 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 no. Change set and package are not connected. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about if you are working in two orgs which are connected to each other, then we use change set. Connected orgs means the sandbox and production kind of thing. Okay, they have a connection between them, right? Your sandbox is your sandbox, right? It's connected to your production. But if you are talking about two different orgs which do not have any connection, then we can use a package. Got that concept? Like your developer org and my developer org. Is there any connection between them? Hello?
Yeah, there's no connection between the your edition and my edition. Entirely, it's going to
Yes. So these are completely different things. Strangers, right? But if it's your production org and your sandbox org, they know each other, right? So change
be. Yeah.
set can be used there.
Okay.
Okay. So change set does not have international visa. It can actually travel within the connected org. Package is like, international passport and you can actually move here and there. So that's what a package is doing. So it can actually move things
Okay.
from my org to your org. So that's the role of a package. What we see with a package that we get an installation URL, which means you can distribute it.
Yes.
You
Yes.
want to give that to anyone, you can just give the installation URL. That org does not have to be connected, right? So, for example, let's say I've created an app, which is more of let's say employee management. I want to just give it for free to everyone that hey, you want to use employee management, you use it. So I can use a package there. I cannot use a change set. Okay, so I can use a create a package, install it, and I can just keep on sending it to everyone. Hey, use this. You got that? So that's how it works.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions apart from this? Now there are a few types of sandboxes that we work with. So we have a developer sandbox. Okay. Then we have a developer pro sandbox. Then we have a partial sandbox, and then we have a full sandbox. Okay. As I told you, sandbox is basically used for development and testing. So sometimes what happens, you will give the sandbox access to your developer. Let's say we are a company, and let's say you guys are one company, and I'm an external vendor. Okay, you want me to design, develop this app for you. Okay, you might not want to share any of the actual data with me. You just want me to do the development, but you don't want me to see any of the actual data. Possible, right? So then you can use a developer sandbox here. A developer sandbox is just for doing the development. It will have the scope of putting data, but all the data will be dummy data. So development can be done here, testing can be done, but testing of whether the application is working or not will be done using dummy data. Okay. Developer Pro Sandbox also has dummy data with increased storage. Okay, so the storage capacity of a Developer Pro Sandbox is more than a Developer Sandbox. Okay, but in both the cases, only for it's only the development environment that you get. You don't get to see the actual data from the production. There's no actual production data which is available here. Okay, so you just have to put in your dummy records and do the testing. Okay, sometimes it happens that you actually want the testing to be done on some of the real records also. I tested, okay, fine, if it is working for the real record or not, and there is a testing team involved in that. So these two are mainly meant for doing thorough testing of your application with some real records or real data. So partial sandbox has real data, okay, which comes from your production environment, but not the entire set of real data, only partial. Some part of your real data is there. Full copy sandbox or the full sandbox has entire set of real data. Okay. So in this, what happens is you basically get to see the complete actual data. Okay, you can do your development, you can try test it on the actual records and all that stuff. With a partial sandbox, you have the option of having some part of your actual data, some records, not all the records. Developer Sandbox and the Developer Pro Sandbox are only meant for development purposes and doing the testing with the dummy records. So you have this option of having some data here also, but with dummy records only you can do the testing. You cannot do it with the actual data and all that stuff. You don't get to see any actual data. Got it? So these are four different types of sandboxes that we have. Uh, So depends, which kind of a sandbox your company wants, they will actually, approach and get that sort of sandbox. If they need a full sandbox, or if they need a partial sandbox, or if they need a developer sandbox. So if you feel that, okay, we are okay to go with a developer pro sandbox or a developer sandbox, we don't need to do the testing using the real records, then you can just use developer sandbox. A developer sandbox is just going to give you space to store some dummy records and do the testing. Okay, for that. But if your process is complex, you have to actually go and check with the actual data and all that stuff, then you need partial or is full copy sandbox. Clear? So now basically that's what you need to understand about the sandbox. So types of sandboxes, now we understand the types of sandboxes. Secondly, how to log in into sandbox. That what should be the URL and what should be the login name. Thirdly, how to create a change set. So it is the same process as the package, just that there it's called a change set and here it's called a package, and the purpose is different. And how to deploy a change set, just go to the production, go to inbound change set and check it. Fine. So apart from this, there is nothing else that you need to know about a sandbox. Clear? Any other questions or doubts around this? We're okay? Okay. So that's what we are going to talk today. And tomorrow we are going to talk about a few more important concepts, which are, so the sites, how you can actually create a site, and how you can enable users to access the site.